on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:06 on this Wednesday morning. Tomorrow's July 4th, Independence Day. Are you down for it? By the way, program note, we will be live and broadcasting tomorrow. No, recorded shows. No, none of that. You need your morning show? We're here for you tomorrow morning on Independence Day. At 6:35, Cal Thomas will be our guest. At 7:05, Thomas Catenacci from Free Beacon. He's covering the Sam Brinton story. The sentencing has come down for Sam Brinton, so we'll see how our two-tiered justice system is working. 7:35 will bring us James Rosen. In fact, we're going to talk about James Rosen's day at the White House briefing room in just a moment. 8:05, Brent Bozell. And then at 8:35, Jessica Robertson, one of those Duck Dynasty members. What do you call yourself when you're a member of a dynasty? A member of a dynasty, I suppose.
Yeah.
Dynastista. Stensian. Well, Jessica Robertson will be our guest. They've got a new book about love of our country and patriotism. Nice grab. I told you I've been in an 80s mood lately, and that's a great 80s reference. Well done.
Joan Collins.
White House yesterday. Karine Jean-Pierre finally had to emerge and answer for the president's dementia. Here's how it went.
So there are growing calls from Democrats, including members of Congress, for the president to step aside for the 2024 election because he's not capable of serving another 4 years. What is his response to this?
So let me just step back for a minute and I guess deal with the questions that have come in about the debate. And honestly, this is something that the president has addressed himself multiple times since this past Thursday. And first of all, I want to say we understand the concerns. We get it. The president did not.
Don't you love it when they say, whatever you do, make sure you say, we get it, right? We just want to make sure that everyone knows.
She did a lot of that. I understand the question.
Right, we get it. Oh,
we're not
we
dismissing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we get it. We understand where that question is coming from.
Classic media
Now
training.
I'm going to avoid it.
Yes.
Have a great night, as you all know, and many of you reached out during the debate. The president had a cold. He had a hoarse voice.
They're still doing the cold.
But I will say this, and the president said this over the past couple of days, certainly right after the debate. He knows how to do the job. And he knows how to do the job, not because he says it, because his record proves it.
He knows how to do the job someone came up with that.
Yeah.
Right? He knows how to do the job. Okay, question isn't whether you know. Guess what? I kind of know how to do the job too, but I'm incapable of doing it. Yeah. That's the problem. I got to say for the reporters, though, they did seize or pounce or whatever you want to use here on the whole cold thing. I'm shocked, actually, that she brought the cold up because that was so obviously a lie.
Yeah.
And so they all sort of said, oh, yeah, let's talk about that cold thing.
Yeah. Part of the problem that Democrats are articulating is that it wasn't just that he had a cold, but rather he had, answers. He was trailing off. He didn't answer some questions in a sort of fulsome way. And speaking of Nancy Pelosi, one of the things that she recently said was that it was a legitimate question whether his performance was an episode or a condition. So I guess I wondered if there's been any consideration given to releasing a more robust set of medical records or something to show his mental acuity.
So I will say this, look, and again, I get the question. It is a fair question to ask. We are not taking that away, and that's why the president certainly has spoken to this.
I love that they want a medal. They want to bet we're not taking that away. We're acknowledging that something's here, but as if that's some sort of heroic move.
Can we also talk about how delicate the questioning is?
I know,
it's I don't mean to be rude.
The hemming and hawing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know this is uncomfortable, but could you answer this?
Meanwhile, James Rosen from the back of the room, is the president disabled?
I know, as if we have not watched this for years. As if we have not. There's sort of a collection of videos on some social media accounts are playing this of him answering questions with a teleprompter 2-3 years ago, using a teleprompter to answer questions. They would load up, they'd hear the question behind the teleprompter, they're loading up the answer for him to read. He has been like this for years. He has been in a downward spiral for years, and the media, Look, I enjoyed that. I watched it yesterday. I was sitting on the couch. It was popping popcorn. I was thrilled, okay? But it is galling that the media is sitting there answering these questions when after G7 and he wandered off with the parachutes,
Right.
There was almost no pushback when she said it's cheap fakes, that sort of made up.
Oh, no,
phrase.
they took that and ran with it.
Oh,
they then took
were
it and
like,
said, great, we have
okay.
something to attack
Exactly.
right-wing media
Yep.
with
Yep.
now. Yeah, I know. No one gets awards yesterday's performance.
As it relates to his medical records, we have been transparent. We have
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't.
released thorough reports from his medical team every year since he's been
Every
in
year.
office. That is something that we have been pretty consistent about. As it relates to, something like a cognitive test, to the question that you're asking me about what the speaker, former speaker said, obviously she can speak for herself. His team, who has said, the medical team said it is not warranted in this case.
It's never been more warranted.
If this were Trump, they would demand
Of course.
his doctor come out and speak. There would be white coats.
That's right.
Talking about it. Seriously.
You're right.
You
They
know?
still have them left over from the Obamacare press conference
they're
that
gonna
they put on all the
and
doctors.
instead they're going to do a stunt like bring Doogie Howser out,
Right.
right? And I thought, well, you guys want to talk to a doctor?
Exactly. So they kept pulling on the string though on the cold. Really, it was a cold. Was he taking anything?
You just reminded us that President Biden had a cold on Thursday. What medications was he taking in the days or hours leading up to the debate?
And I know that question has come in a couple of times to us. He was not taking any cold medication.
Was he taking any medication that would have interfered with his
He
performance?
was not taking any cold medication. That is what I can speak.
Did you notice that? Okay, so what was he on? He was not taking any cold medication. Well, do you take any other medication?
Again,
He was not any cold medication.
but again, this is sort of a giveaway from the media. You can tell the woman's like, say something that makes you drowsy. He accidentally took NyQuil instead
That's
of
right.
DayQuil.
He had no idea.
I'm giving
He's
this to you.
Right, exactly. We're making it easy.
Yes.
I've asked his doctor, and that's what he stated to us.
After the debate, did the president get examined by a doctor or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back,
Every time.
it was a bad night.
It was a bad night.
Did he get it? Because he clearly had a stroke,
Well,
lady.
that's the thing. But it's funny, though, that everybody's saying, did he have an exam right after the debate? Because they think something happened at the debate.
I know.
No,
I know.
life happened. This is a daily occurrence. This was not, they keep acting like this was in a
Wandered
debate event.
away at the Italian prime minister is sitting there pulling him back into the group. Did you miss that?
Right. So then here comes James Rosen, Newsmax, who will be joining us later in the program, actually, to talk about this. But James Rosen, of course, they'll never call on James, so he has to shout it.
But we do believe this was in this instance, it was a bad night.
Is he disabled?
No, and let me finish with your colleague, please. And I know, but shouting out, come on, you know better. Come on.
You know better. I love the demeaning tone.
I know.
How dare you? You're not allowed to speak in this room.
Such a school marm.
But it is the question everybody's asking, isn't it? Let's not forget James Rosen back in January of 2022.
A poll released this morning by Politico Morning Consult found 49% of registered voters disagreeing with the statement, Joe Biden is mentally fit. Not even a majority of Democrats who responded strongly affirmed that statement.
Well, I'll let you all make the judgment whether they're correct.
Well,
Thank
so
you.
the question I have for you, sir, if you'd let me finish, is why do you suppose such large segments of the American electorate have come to harbor such profound concerns about your cognitive fitness? Thank you.
I have no idea.
But you know what? Let me just say, I'll say it in a moment. I say it because I have something to say about Joe Biden. You're praising me because I'm sticking with our clock.
No, it's usually me. Who gets that?
That's
Hold
true.
your
All right,
thought.
I want to react to this because there's been one message that Joe Biden has been sending from the very beginning here when people raise the questions about his age or his mental capacity. He always says the same thing over and over again, and I want to remind you what that was in a moment. First,
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 p.m.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
for everybody who continues to say that we had no idea, we didn't see this coming, this has really happened rapidly, this must have been some kind of event or something that happened in the debate stage. He said, where did this come from? Nobody saw it. This is from the summer of 2020. During the campaign, ABC News' David Muir brought the issue up. Why? Because we all saw it then, and we were all talking about it.
I want to turn to the blistering attacks we've seen from President Trump just this week alone on your mental fitness, whether you're up for the job. His campaign has called you diminished, and I'm curious how you would respond to that.
Watch me. Mr. President, watch me.
Well, but that's been the answer. He does it all the time. It's like somebody
sort of bravado.
Yes,
sort of like
the whole
guy.
cool hand Luke kind of, make my day, right? Yeah.
Look, I think it's a legitimate question to ask anybody over 70 years old whether or not they're fit and whether they're ready. But only thing I can say to the American people, it's a legitimate question to ask anybody. Watch me.
So we've been watching.
Yeah. And he sounds different there. I mean, it's just remarkable when they've been doing a lot of side-by-sides, and that is just 4 years ago, and he sounds completely different.
But and I'd love for a reporter to say, hey, Karine,
watching.
For years he's been saying, watch me. Why isn't he saying that anymore?
Right.
Why
We're
isn't that
watching.
your response? Why don't you? Now they're not even saying that. They're saying he knows how to do the job, and look at his track
and
record.
that is why it is so important that they have started this cheap fake narrative, because what they want to tell they're conveying to the American people is don't trust what you're seeing.
That's right.
Same thing they did with COVID, same thing they did with school closures and masks, everything.
It's their only message. It's so Orwellian. Don't
Yes.
believe what you see.
Right.
Don't believe what you hear. Don't believe what your brain tells you is the obvious logical truth.
Right.
Only believe what we're telling you.
Yes.
That's where the cheap fakes thing came from. And Jackie Heinrich from Fox News raised that yesterday.
The administration strongly criticized the media for clips showing the president appearing to be confused, freezing at times, and you called it cheap fakes, misinformation, disinformation. In one case, even implied that it was the product of artificial intelligence, calling it deep fakes. Do you have any regret over using that language?
Not at all. Not at all. And let me be clear, it was a certain part of the media. And, I mean, you can speak to this better than I can. A certain part of the media which was doing this.
So she turns it into an attack on Fox.
I don't mean to be mean here. I was really disappointed with Jackie Henrich in this episode because she did not push back on that. She sat quietly, and there was an opportunity for her to say, are you implying that Fox News somehow, because that's exactly what she was implying. And I really wish Jackie had pushed back on her and been a little bit more aggressive. Her follow-up, she had a follow-up question, which I didn't think again was aggressive enough, but this was absolutely a cheap shot at Fox News.
So the best part of all of this is, as Karine Jean-Pierre was out there with this message and this talking point and this whole sort of spin and frankly, propaganda, unbeknownst to her, Joe Biden was floating a whole other excuse for what happened on Thursday night. Something that Karine Jean-Pierre didn't have and didn't say anything about at the press briefing. Joe Biden is now leaking and also saying, I guess, at some little private fundraiser in McLean, a whole other story and a whole other explanation as to why he had a terrible night. And we'll share that one with you in just a moment at 6:22. So the story keeps changing, as we mentioned, about what happened with Joe Biden. And of course, we know what's happened because we've been watching it for several years. But so CNN last night. So I just want to point out, Karine Jean-Pierre gives this press briefing. And at the press briefing, she's got the line that they've all agreed on that they're going to say. And she just keeps repeating the talking point over and over again.
Bad night. It was bad night. It was bad night.
And then several hours later, this report from CNN with a whole other story.
Apparently, the president apologized to everyone in the room, saying this is not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And he blamed the extensive foreign travel that he did in the lead up to the CNN debate for his poor performance. Just a reminder for everyone, he did go to France for the D-Day anniversary, and then he turned right back around and went to Italy for the G7 summit. And he told the room, I didn't listen to my staff. So the suggestion there being his staff did not think this was a good idea. And then he apparently said, I almost fell asleep on stage. I just want to unpack this new explanation for a second, as the explanation for why his debate performance was so bad. I find it a little bit puzzling and frankly.
Let's see it.
Also, let's just, in case you don't know,
Yeah.
Air Force One has a bed.
Right.
Room.
Yes.
A whole bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not like
You know,
traveling on
when I
Southwest.
when we've traveled abroad with our kids, because we're taking 5 over there, it is economy.
Right.
And let me say, I don't get any sleep, okay? Because all the kids are leaning on me, right?
Uh-huh.
There's this tiny tray, bad food.
And that you
He has
figure
a
it out.
bedroom.
He has a bedroom. He also took over a week off.
Yeah.
Sequestered at
12
Camp
days.
David
12 days.
to rest up. And oh, by the way, one other thing. We want our president to be able to travel around the world and still function.
Kind of
so
a part of
this
the job.
excuse kind of cuts against the whole thing.
We're
anyway.
watching you. We're watching you.
It's 6:30.
WMAL FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37 on O'Connor and Company. Julie Gunlock, good to have you here. Was it Astro or Scooby-Doo that said ruh-roh?
Oh, it was Scooby.
You don't think it was Astro?
No,
Was it the same actor who played them?
probably.
Do you think? They didn't look
I
the
haven't.
same.
I haven't done a deep dive into Scooby Doo yet, but
I usually think Scooby says ruh-roh.
it 100% is Scooby.
All right.
Should we take calls?
Might need to. 888-630 WMAL. That's that sort of thing that we get corrected immediately on social media. So we'll look forward to you.
You have to turn your Gen X
solving
card
this.
in if you don't know that's Scooby.
Coming up at 7:05, Thomas Catanacci from Washington Free Beacon about the latest on the cross-dressing luggage snatcher and ex-Biden nuclear energy official and his sentencing. 7:35, James Rosen, Newsmax. 8:05, Brent Bozell, Media Research Center. And then 8:35, Jessica Robertson of the Duck Dynasty. That's Julie Gunlock. I'm Larry O'Connor. And here comes Cal Thomas, who is enjoying yet another week over in Italy with his wine. I picture him right now sitting there with a glass of Chianti.
Some olives.
Maybe a bowl of pasta. Oh, a little tapenade, do you think?
Yeah, no, not tapenade, just a bowl
Just
of olives.
popping the olives
That's
into
right,
his mouth.
yeah.
What are you doing there, Cal? What do you got?
Well, I'm on my fact-finding tour, and yesterday I found an incredible fact that the best pasta I have ever eaten in my life was in the little town of Corleone. Now, that's not just Michael's last name from The Godfather.
Yeah.
It's a real little town in Sicily. And the carbonara is absolutely over the top. I highly recommend it. So now I can write off the trip having found that fact.
Well, and you're gonna and considering you used your media platform to discuss it with everyone in Washington, it is. I feel so used right now.
Yes.
Cal,
well, at least I'm not plugging my book.
Cal, the attempted spin after the president's performance at the debate last week is really something to behold. You've seen it all, Cal, but this is really something.
Yes. This is really something. We've gone from, well, he had a cold to he went around the world twice. That's what Biden said. Now, I'm not great at geography, but I looked this up, and he didn't go around the world twice. Mm-hmm. He didn't even go around the world in 80 days. This is just unbelievable. I watched the entire press briefing yesterday, and Karine Jean-Pierre practically admitted that the charges or the claims against Biden were correct. But what is really interesting to see is that the worm has turned. These sycophant media people who bought the business that Biden was going to be a unifier, he was a moderate, he was going to be a transitional president, meaning just one term, and then turn it over to somebody younger. Every single question during that briefing yesterday was about his cognitive state. And you had one reporter who actually said yes or no question to Corinne Jean-Pierre, will he take a cognitive test or not? And she said no.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is irresponsible. Somebody said, well, they both should take one. Well, fine, let them both take one. But this is something that needs to be discovered, not by a White House physician, but by an independent doctor who will tell us the facts.
So, Cal, how does this play out? I mean, if you're Trump team right now, you want Biden to stay on the ticket. If you're Democrats, you probably want to make a shift. We're hearing now that 25 House Democrats are reportedly going to call for Biden to end, at least to step off the ticket. And one last question, Cal. If he's not capable of running for president, doesn't that also mean he's not capable of being president?
Well, I think we already have plenty of evidence on that. We have the Obama people who are running the show behind the scenes. Once you have, as you said, 25 Democrats joining the one from Texas who came out against Biden running again yesterday, I think it's going to be a groundswell. I really do. I mean, honest Democrats have got to say, look, we got to pick somebody else. And you're right. I think the Trump team want him to remain. I want him to remain. I think the voters need to hold him accountable for his policies and what he has failed to do. But the Democrats are going to do anything they can, lie, cheat, steal in order to win. So it's going to be an interesting 125 days.
What do you think the next step for Trump should be? As Larry and I talked about this morning, he has been silent on this, which is the best strategy for Trump at this point. And during the debates, when Biden would sort of prattle on and go on in sort of nonsensical ways, Trump never even responded. He was very cool and collected. At what point does Trump respond? Does he say something about this?
Well, there's several cliches about, when your opponent is digging a hole, don't stop them.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a positive side of not living up to your expectations. Everybody thought that Trump was going to repeat what he did in that debate 4 years ago. He didn't. And sometimes remaining silent, saying nothing, is the best strategy. Now, I just see that the sentencing for Trump in the New York trial has been put off till September 18th. But it's going to be really fascinating to see now that the Supreme Court has sent the question of whether Trump's actions were official or not official back to the lower court. This could come back up to the Supreme Court. I don't think you're going to have any trials before the election, and then who knows what's going to happen after that.
Cal, when the books are written and people study political blunders, do you think anything will ever measure up to Joe Biden and his team thinking it was a good idea to challenge Donald Trump to a debate? Byron York thinks that they never expected Trump to accept his terms. CNN, Jake Tapper, Dana Bash cut off the microphone, no audience. The speculation is that the Biden team put that out there thinking Trump would never accept it, so then Biden could say, well, listen, I offered and he didn't take it. And boy, what a blunder.
That is exactly correct. They did it to themselves, and it was an enormous blunder. I mean, he should have taken some drugs. He should have been on his game like he was in the State of the Union speech.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a tremendous mistake. And he says he's still going to be in for a second debate. Well, I don't know how he improves any, because as many commentators have said, it's not going to get better. He's not going to unage, and he's not going to improve his cognitive abilities.
Cal Thomas, I can almost, I don't want to say smell, but I sense the carbonara, the joy of that carbonara that you've just had there. Yeah. And it's full-on pancetta, or did they go for bacon? Because I can go either way on that.
Pork jowl.
They went for bacon. That's a great question.
Yeah. Thank you, Cal. Good talking with you.
Good evening there, cheat the both of you.
We're all very jealous. Buona noche. That's Cal Thomas. And listen to that laugh. By the way, I also want to point out Biden's blunder doesn't happen without Donald Trump making a brilliant stroke of political genius by accepting I don't care what the terms are. I'll show up. I'll be there.
Yep.
Bring it on. Let's go. And then they were stuck. So everyone says, oh, what a mistake Biden made. Yeah, but the mistake doesn't happen unless Trump is smart enough to do what he did. What an amazing time to be alive.
It really is.
If only the future of our nation weren't hanging in the balance. It's 6:45. It's 6:50 now, and Joe Biden did make an appearance yesterday in Washington, D.C. He went to, what was this exactly? He talked about the climate, of course, and he went to the weather. Hold on.
It's like an ops center, I think,
yeah,
for FEMA.
It's in D.C. Was it FEMA?
Yeah,
Thank
I think
you.
so.
Thank you.
I think it was the operations center.
Anyway, desperately trying to change the subject, so he stood in front of a teleprompter and talked about how hot things are.
Look, extreme weather events drive home a point that I've been saying for so long. Ignoring climate change is deadly and dangerous and irresponsible. These climate-fueled extreme weather events don't just affect people's lives, they also cost money, they hurt the economy, and they have a significant negative psychological effect on people.
Whole lot of slurring going on there.
Yeah, he runs all the words. And let me just say, I used to work at the American Red Cross, and I used to work in the Red Cross's Ops Center. And let me tell you, hurricanes have been happening for, I don't know, decades, centuries. Like, this is nothing new. It's weather. It's not climate change.
So you're not buying into the climate change
but then,
hysteria.
Well, because I'm dumb.
That's the thing.
Yes.
Because I hate to say this, but the President of the United States, the great unifier, the great Uncle Joe, the man who will bring our country together, he's got a word for you.
I quite frankly think it's not only outrageous, it's really stupid. Everyone who willfully denies the impacts of climate change is condemning the American people to a dangerous future, and either is really, really dumb or has some other motive of that. How can you deny there's climate change, for God's sake?
There you go. How can you deny it, for God's sake?
Yeah, because you're really dumb. This is approaching the deplorables level of political stupidity, in my opinion.
Well, there's no ramifications if he does that, and all of the smart set actually agree with him. By the way, his brain malfunctioned again, by the way, during this appearance where he couldn't hear it.
More people die from extreme heat than floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes combined. Say that again. Combined.
It was written on the teleprompter. Say that again.
I'm surprised he didn't say that again.
He said, say that again.
Yeah,
say that again. Say that again.
That's true.
Again. It's 6:52.
Making sense of your world.
I agree with everything you're saying.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
My heart just breaks for what's going on.
Making sense of the news.